We're going to be talking about a recently passed piece of legislation. This is a bill to amend the Civil Service Accident Compensation Act. This would then require the government to compensate anybody who is a civil servant who has been injured in an official capacity. It passed the plenary session of the National Assembly's Administrative Safety Committee on the 16th. To give us more details, a legal analysis on what's going on, we're pleased to be joined by Kim Seung-jin. He's attorney at DR and Aju Law Group on the line right now. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. The case in question here, which spurred the passage of the bill out of committee, was the injury to the firefighter Kim Bum-seok. He suffered from hemangiosarcoma, died in duty, and was trying to get some compensation, at least his family was. Tell us more about the incident in question, please.
Well, the late Mr. Kim worked as a rescue worker at the Busan Fire Department and the Central 119 Rescue Team since he was appointed as a firefighting officer in 2006. As a healthy firefighter enjoying marathon and cycling, he was called to the rescue scene more than 1,000 times, including 270 fire scenes. In August 2013, he suffered from a sudden high fever and dyspnea while he was at a physical training drill. After 3 months from the accident, he was diagnosed with angiosarcoma, which is known to be associated with exposure to harmful chemicals such as vinyl chloride in fire scenes. After the accident, he applied for compensation at the Government Employees Pension Service, claiming that his illness is caused by his performance of the official duties. While his application for compensation was still reviewed, he died at the age of 32 after 7 months from the occurrence of the disease. In June 2015, the government rejected the application for compensation of the bereaved on the ground that no evidence of his illness was developed in the course of the performance of the official duties existed. The bereaved made an objection to the decision and brought a lawsuit against the government. The court of first instance rejected the claim of the bereaved on the ground that a reasonable causal relationship between his illness and his performance of the official duties did not exist. However, in September 2019, the appellate court ruled in favor of the bereaved on the ground that a reasonable causal relationship existed. Since the government did not appeal to the Supreme Court, the judgment of the appellate court became final and conclusive, and the bereaved could receive compensation from the government.
Now, you think of firefighters and police officers, they don't work for private companies. They're not Hyundai employees, Samsung employees. They're civil servants. They work for the government. So it would seem natural to assume then anything in terms of workplace compensation for injuries would be the responsibility of the state. In U.S., Canada, Australia, that is something that we take for granted in those countries. Why did Korea take so long for this to happen?
Well, in many countries, certain diseases that occur to firefighters are presumed to have been developed in the course of their official duties by the presumption law. The presumption law that shifts the burden of proof from the claimant to the defendant was introduced to many legal systems to protect firefighters. In the United States, since Pennsylvania enacted the Presumption Act in 1935, 43 states already adopted the presumption law so far. In Canada, since the province of Manitoba enacted the Presumption Act in 2002, 10 out of 13 provinces enacted the Presumption Act already. In Australia, the Presumption Act was introduced to their legal system in 2011, and 6 out of 8 states enacted the Presumption Act. You asked me why it took so long for Korea to introduce the presumption law to our legal system. I think it's because we didn't care about the welfare of firefighters on the excuse of economic reasons. Now that Korea is officially recognized as a developed country in the world, we are now finally turning to the welfare of firefighters.
So, again, with this case of the tragic story of the firefighter Kim Bum-seok. Now, if a firefighter is injured while at the work, and if we say that the burden of proof then is on the employee to prove damages, could you tell us in detail how complicated a legal process and how difficult that is?
In Korea, firefighters need to prove that a reasonable causal relationship exists between their injury or illness and their performance of the official duties in their application for compensation. However, since firefighters or the bereaved do not usually have sufficient medical knowledge to prove that the injury or illness is caused by the performance of the official duties, it's very difficult for firefighters or the bereaved to prove a causal relationship. The most difficult cases to prove a causal relationship is cancer, leukemia, and cardiovascular and cerebrovascular disease, since the cause of those diseases is not clearly found in modern medicine yet. In such a situation, it might be quite difficult even for a medical expert to prove that a causal relationship between those diseases and the performance of the official duties exists. In case not a medical expert, but an ordinary firefighter tries to prove a causal relationship, it's almost impossible.
So with the amendment of the Civil Service Accident Compensation Act, how does this change the situation for firefighters? How, I guess in terms of guarantees, what will they get from the government?
According to the amendment bill of the Civil Service Accident Compensation Act, firefighters can apply for compensation for their injury or disease without proving a reasonable causal relationship between their injury or disease and the performance of the official duties. The government is expecting that the injury or disease cases that will be accepted by the Government Employees Pension Service will significantly increase by the amendment bill of the Act. However, since the kind of injury or disease that does not require a reasonable causal relationship will be stipulated in the presidential decree of the Act, it's important to note that not all injuries or diseases will be protected by the Act. Another change by the amendment bill of the Act is that the review process will be shortened. In case an injury or disease is obviously caused by the performance of official duties, the review of the application at the Compensation Council can be omitted. So for certain injury or disease cases, firefighters will be compensated much faster than before. Considering those 2 points I just mentioned, I think the amendment bill of the Act will give much reassurance to the firefighters.
In terms of a safer work environment, a recent survey of firefighters in Jeju, the vast majority want a 3-team, 1-shift work system. How would that change things and how could that be implemented?
Well, the firefighters in Jeju are claiming that Jeju Fire Department should implement 3-team, 1-shift work system to protect the health of firefighters in Jeju. They're arguing that the current 3-team, 2-shift work system is very detrimental to their health since the current work system mixes the day shift and the night shift. In a 3-team, 1-shift work system, firefighters work for 24 hours continuously and take a rest for 2 days. For the claim of Jeju firefighters, the Jeju Fire Department said that they have a plan to execute test operation first, since 24-hour continuous work might be harmful to firefighters, and a few firefighters are still objecting to the new shift work system. I think the 3-team, 1-shift work system can be implemented in the future for the following 3 reasons. First, if the new shift work system is more harmful to firefighters than the previous shift work system,
right,
93.2% of Jeju firefighters wouldn't have agreed with the new shift work system.
Okay.
Second,
well, we're going to have to cut that, unfortunately, because we have run out of time. But Mr. Kim, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate your legal insights and hope to have you back again soon.
Thank you.
That was Kim Seung-jin for this issue on fireplace safety for firefighters working for the government. We're going to take a short break. We're going to be back in the second hour. Pop and Culture is coming up next. Please stay tuned.